Very interesting talk by AW, as ever, very interesting story. Every time I hear, it's more and more fascinating. I see Colonel Sajjad, who's an encyclopedia on the liberation of air events in Bangladesh. And I also see that you were speaker in Mr. Atharuddin Talukder, who's taken part in the almost towards the fag end of the commando operations. Now, I'll try to be precise and try to finish the talk earlier because I think we are overshooting our time. So I'll straight away get down to the events which happened after these welcome guests of ours from the ex-Pakistan submarine came to Delhi. The moment they landed in Delhi, Director of Naval Intelligence took charge of him. I would like to put this little slide there to show the hierarchy, how it started. So slide number 1, please, if I can have, you have on your screens now. You can see Admiral Nanda, you can see Captain Mihir Roy, who was the Director of Naval Intelligence, and you can see Commander Samant. They were the brains and the planners of the whole operation. We, the divers, can I have the next slide, please? The divers in the camp, Lieutenant Commander Martis, Self, and Lieutenant Samir Das were at the executing end of the training curriculum and workup. We also, can I have the third slide, please? We had these 6 senior experienced diving sailor instructors who were the backbone of the whole camp. Now, what we didn't have was, and didn't have in the Indian Navy, was unarmed combat because the Naval Commando in the Indian Navy didn't exist at that time. Marcos, which are now the Naval Commandos, came subsequently after the success of these operations in 1971 by the Bangladesh Mukti Bahini Naval Commandos. So I'll revert back to the event when these people came to Delhi. Lieutenant Samir Das and leading seaman Bhattacharya was called to Delhi because both were Bengali speaking. They were posted in diving school at that time to interact, engage, and evaluate these 8 gentlemen who had fallen into our laps and provide us the opportunity to think in terms of enhancing the Mukti Bahini efforts towards the larger interest of Bangla Bandhu. Now, after a week or so, I think after a discussion with Lieutenant Das, Captain Roy wanted more people and establish a team which could train these people. So I came into the scene of in about last week of, or the 3rd week of April. I was called Calcutta and met Admiral Roy there. And we had a discussion. Das was around there. He explained what he really wanted. And he was already told, and he wanted to hear again, I guess, that why these people could not be trained into underwater swimmers. So with the complications of the training schedule and the underwater illnesses involved and a whole lot of things which come with the underwater swimming, it was decided that it will be the surface swimmers who will be trained, will be highly trained, and would be used as the main weapon delivery system for the Bangladeshis, or for the freedom movement. Now, to that end, now it was a task that we had to choose a site for the camp, train them, form the training curriculum, selection criteria. So it all fell into our laps. And I being even though DAS was my course, I happened to be the sub-lieutenant courses and all that. You awarded some seniority and all that, so you become a week, 10-day senior. It means nothing. But when it comes to a hierarchy of the Navy and the responsibility, then you're given the responsibility of your seniors. So I was made an officer in charge of the project to set up the camp, and Das and me had a tremendous rapport together, because he was not only the course batchmate of mine in the Navy, we also did the course together at in HMS Vernon. And he was an excellent diver. He came out with flying colors from there. So he was a tremendous chap to have alongside you to take up this project. So we were put under the Army organization. And at that time, in charge of the Mukti Bahini training and providing arms and ammunition was something called the Operation Jackpot. The Operation Jackpot was headed by a gentleman called General Calcutt, based in Calcutta and Fort Williams. So we came there, met him, and we already had our instructions from the Navy. And naval hierarchy was pretty straight. It was, till then, it was the big man, Admiral Nanda, the DNI, and me to start with. So all the information was very easily disseminated. Orders were given. And it was a classic example of keeping the secrecy, because the shorter the chain of command, better it is for everybody. And the things move faster, the equipment and the manpower comes easy. So since this effort had to be away from the prying eyes, we were put on the Army for Logistics Support. And Jackpot organization has set up 6 sectors of the Army under a brigadier, that Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta Echo Foxtrot. So we put under Charlie sector, Brigadier Salek, and his brigade major was Major Roy Chaudhary, J.K. Roy Chaudhary, who later became Chief of the Army Staff. He was a very informed and a very decent man. I mean, he came to Calcutta, me, Das, and Major Chaudhary. I mean, he used to take us in his vehicle all over the place where we wanted to go and see the sites, down to the Diamond Harbour, to other places around Calcutta. Then eventually we could find a proper training spot. The criteria being that it should be having moderate currents where we could train very easily, currents which the boys are going to find in Bangladesh. And there was a scope for expansion if required, because Navy Admiral Nanda always thought big. He always thought out of the box. He thought big, and he was a courageous man. So whenever he thought something, he wanted a full operation and a full strength and full earnestness. So there was, I was told that there should be a scope of expansion. I mean, not that every time I was told that this is the whole plan. We were giving piecemeal information. Typical spy master, Captain Roy, who will feed in the right information at the right time, and you go ahead with the job. So eventually, we couldn't find anything in 2-3 days. So Major Roy Chaudhary at that time said that I know of a place which is very near the headquarters of our brigade, and I think it'll be easier to support you there. So he took us to Krishnanagar, and there was a sugar mill which was lying abandoned because of the partly off season, but partly because of the strike there. So we went there and we found that this was the ideal place. It was a huge expanse of land there where acres of land available. There was no village in sight, and the Bhagirathi River was just flowing alongside. So we immediately felt that, this is the right place. And we said, fine, we go ahead and we set up our camp here. So that's how this camp was started. The action for setting up and organizing the whole thing started. And so at the Second Sikh Alive, which was a station nearby, was the parent unit who gave us the administrative support in terms of tentage, in terms of transport, the cooks, the utensils, and everything. We just came there. The 8 of us, I must say that me, Das, and the 6 sailors, without anything, without even a suitcase, because we were called in post haste. We just came with our little airbags, it used to be called. There were no trolleys at those times. So we just came there and we started getting down to the business. So first thing was to put the tent so that we could move in there. In the meantime, we stayed in the Palasi guest house. The tent was set up, the tentage was down, and a cook was given, the utensils were sent, the rations were sent by Second Sikh Alai, and we were almost sufficient for all the basic needs. Then started the requirement of selection of the volunteers. Now, there were Mukti Bahini camps all over. There were refugee camps all over. But the ideal situation, we were told to go to the Mukti Bahini camps where the volunteers for Mukti Bahini were already there and select from there. So me and Das, we went in 2 directions and started looking for the right volunteers. The criteria for selection for these volunteers was we needed education background of these volunteers, which was reasonable. They could understand the language. They could sort of understand the technicalities of the training. They could understand the instructions of explosives and firearms and other things. They could understand the map reading. They could understand what we had to tell them about the escape and evasion. So these were the basic requirement of the education background and the background for selection them. The second aspect was the aptitude. They should have the aptitude to be in the water for a long time and sustain themselves there. Then they should have enthusiasm amongst them. Motivations come much later. Unless that chap is enthusiastic about the training and why the training is being conducted, the attention span will be very low. The other thing was the selection of people. Special emphasis had to be paid to the people from different geographical locations within East Pakistan, because the simple reason that in East Pakistan, if you go from east to west, the facial features of the people, the language dialect changes very drastically. It's a small country, but it does happen. So it was basically for the reason that when you are launching these people for the job, if they're caught, they can get away. And also when they're around before the attack, waiting for the D-Day, they should not be standing out like sore thumbs in the local crowd if they're seen around. Normally they were supposed to keep themselves scarce from the prying eyes. Then they should have the medical fitness of the basic level to be good swimmers and able to carry out the job. What we didn't have at that time was the instructor in the unarmed combat, as I told you earlier, which we requested the Army, and they sent a gentleman called Naik Mane, who was an excellent man to instruct people and the students how to use your bare arms and the available resources to overcome the sentries or the enemy or catch them unawares and things like that. These techniques, I must admit that we didn't know at that time. And 8 of us, we did really train with the boys in this aspect. We picked up a lot of things there. So once all this happened, the volunteers were subjected to all these tests and all that. They started coming into the camp. The camp was basically set in the tentage and all that by very early days of May. Due to some hiccups and some problems, the camp, more resources and other things were required. Chief of the Naval Staff and DNI made a surprise visit along with General Arora to the camp on, I think, in the first week of May. And that really helped us, firstly, to motivate our own instructors, us, and to tell our support army groups that we are serious about the thing. We are serious about the effort, which was very essential at that stage. So things moved absolutely smoothly thereafter. So the first batch of the volunteers did arrive. It was about 60 volunteers who were selected. They came by about 10th or 12th or 13th of May. And this is the time when the 8 submariners, ex-submariners of Mangro, were called to Palasi at that time. And they were found very suitable and very amicable. They were very keen. They were very enthusiastic. And of course, they had left the submarine just for the freedom fight. They were very handy with us to motivate the youngsters, the new volunteers. They were very handy in translating our instructions because, mind you, we had only 2 Bengali gentlemen in our whole training team, Samir Das and, 3 of them, MS Gupta and Bhattacharya. Rest of us were non-Bengali speaking people. So to translate our instructions and our talks, these people really did a tremendous job. And they were the great motivating factor for the youngsters because they looked up upon them and said, these are the people who really have left everything for the freedom struggle. So the training started in earnestness, say about 14th, 15th, 16th of May. And the training process thereafter, having set up the criteria, was passed on. I mean, like we never did repeat going to the camp. During the visit of Chief at that time and the DNI and General Arora, one thing they told me and that they have decided to induct 2 senior officers in the whole effort. One at the level of Eastern Command, that is under General Arora, and second at the camp, a lieutenant commander, so that the liaison with the army becomes much easier, which was a very tremendous move. I think it was it eased out a whole lot of problems. Captain Salman joined by end May. His first visit in the camp was in the first week of June when the training was already going on. The second officer, Lieutenant Commander Martis, joined the camp in first week of June. And it was, in fact, it was quite a relief to have him as an officer in charge because officers in charge have a lot of work which really hampers the training. It's with the liaison with the army people, the administration of the camp, the all kinds of things, liaison with the civil authorities, liaison with other people. So we were left completely for the training effort. During the visit of Captain Samant in, I think, the first week of June, he saw the training. He saw the boys, these volunteers were quite weak and, not exactly malnourished, but almost there. And to push them to the extent what we wanted to push them in the training curriculum was considered a task. So he immediately went back and authorized extra ration in form of glucose, meat, eggs, and whole lot of things like we in the Navy, the divers have it. So within about 3-4 weeks, it showed the dividend and result, and we saw that the boys could really sort of filling up and getting healthier and keeping more hours without feeling drowsy or sleepy and things. So that was plus point. And of course, Lieutenant Colonel Martis, being a senior diver, always it's been much better to have senior people with their experience. The things move much better and much smoother. The ammunition for the training was being supplied again by the Army. The other tool of the trade we required was the fins. Can I have the slide with the fins and the limpet mine, please? Yeah. So on the left side, you would see the swimming fins, which were issued to each of the volunteer and the trainee. Alongside is the swimming trunk, which was a standard issue given to them. And that was the uniform and the day and night wear for everybody in the camp. So, and the right side, you see the two semi-hemispherical objects of the size of football. They are the limpet mines. On the bottom, you've got a cutaway portion of the limpet mine where it shows what the components and other things are. This is just to give the audience the idea that what it was. So can I have the slide of the Bangladesh map, please? Thank you. And now I'll come down to the training once the training was seen by Captain Samant, Commander Samant, and he went back. First thing was he authorized the extra ration issued, and those started coming in. Second was to augment the fins and the limpet mines with the tools of the trade. And for that, and the third thing he did was that he appointed one of the submarine cadre underwater medical specialist, I think he was Lieutenant Ibrahim, Surgeon Lieutenant Ibrahim, to go and do the selection of the people. So it took a whole lot of load on us in the camp, because the training, the selection criteria was already established. The first batch had already come, and with this background, the officer went around, did a tremendous job, and we started getting the volunteer in hordes thereafter every week, every 15 days. The diktat given to us by our hierarchy was that they want the training to be completed in 3 weeks' time of a batch, and thereafter the workup starts. So every batch was being churned out in 3 weeks. The training curriculum was another thing which was very, very intense. It was building of the physical endurance. For that, it was the morning runs and the jogs, which started from 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers, and ended up in 10 kilometers at the end of the training. It is swimming with the fins and without the fins. With the fins, there's a tremendous propulsion you get underwater, so that you move pretty fast and you can maneuver yourself pretty well. But swimming without the fins really gives you the stamina and the confidence level in staying in the water for a long duration. Training and swimming and stall in strong currents, swimming at night, the swimming with weights. Once they become good swimmers, it was swimming with weights. And the weights was given in form of bricks. 1 brick or 2 brick you had to carry. All the trainees had to carry from place A to place B, or at least for 1 hour of swimming. And this was done because they had to carry the limpet mine eventually. So there'll be weight of the limpet mine and the explosive. So they should be adapt to this particular aspect of it. Then there was map reading, though it was not used very much in the real operations, but it was the map reading of the army kind, where you read the land maps, the unarmed combat, which I talked about earlier, the explosive ordnance training, including small arm fires, the grenades, the plastic explosive, the shape charges, and the handling of the limpet mine, the instruction, escape, and evasion. That once you carry out an attack, how to get out of it. And when you are putting the limpet mine or whatever it is, which portion of the ship or the installation you've got to fix these mines to obtain the maximum amount of damage. So this was a training curriculum, and all these instructors, I must say, our instructors, and then the 8 submariners would come in, A.W. Chowdhury and his gang. They all acted as instructors, pretty good ones, with the boys all the time, and carrying out the workup for themselves also, because eventually they had to lead. So this went on, and I think by end of June, July, we had already churned out about 200 plus or 250 odd volunteers into lean, mean fighting machines. I mean, they were strong, they had stamina, they knew what to do. And the dates and timing and all that were, as usual, is always kept to the hierarchy, and it is in the form of secret letters or information which is kept sealed with the unit commanders to be opened only when the executive command comes from top. So these things were not known to us or to anybody for the reason security and other things. In our camp, there were also a couple of intelligence people from the local intelligence bureau who went around as civilians, as academic teachers and things like that, who really kept an eye on all the happenings to check if there is a activity which is going on which can be detrimental to the training or to the security of the whole effort. And this was directly under the officer in charge, and these guys used to report and take the instructions from the officer in charge. So we had a pretty watertight kind of system going there. Now I think we are running short of time. I'll just run through pretty quickly. I'll cut the long story short now. I'll come to the thing that after all this training and all that, I just want to touch upon the Finns and the limpet mine story. The Finns and the limpet mines both were in tremendous shortage with the Indian Navy itself, because this kind of a warfare was never thought of earlier. And it was only for our training, and what was for a very limited use. So we didn't even have, I think, even 100 limpet mines operational in the whole Navy. We didn't have even more than 150, 200 Finns in the whole Navy. And they were all imported items. So we had a big task of indigenizing them. And which, I must say, our Directorate of Naval Armament and they did a tremendous job. Firstly, we found a local source in Calcutta. One of the ex-deep diving officers of the Indian Navy had opened up indigenization workshop of the rubberized items for the diving related items, in Calcutta itself. So it was just next door. We contacted them and we got them to produce the fins post haste and good material and good quality, so that they don't pack up when these naval commanders Bangladesh go in for the operation. The Lippinbine again was something which was very high priority was accorded, and Lieutenant Samir Das was given the mandate to liaise with the Director of Naval Armament to develop the rudimentary mine. So this rudimentary mine was, we did away with a lot of this weight, and the actuating mechanism of this saved us a couple of, I think about 500 grams to a kilo of weight in a mine, so that we could fill it more with explosive. We put a very simple soluble plug kind of a solution there, which we put in the water, and it dissolves within the actuating mechanism gets active within about half an hour, which is sufficient time for the chap who's going to attack the ships to escape. And we had a problem of soluble plug, that how, if it dissolves, then what happens? Will the life of the naval commander be jeopardized? So for that, a very simple solution was found. We just put a condom in front, on top of the soluble plug, and it just had to be removed before the naval commander put the mine and escaped from there. And they were produced in sufficient numbers that we never felt the shortage for the boys which are sent for operation, as well as for the training. The other explosives like plastic explosives and other things for the training, and tons of weight was given by the Army on our request, and we used it in the camp for the training. So I don't have much time of this. Then we get down to the story of famous AW, when he took his people there to attack in Chittagong. He has already told you the story. At that time, it was decided that the attack in Bangladesh would be, or East Pakistan would be, at 4 places. This had the consideration for these offensive was obviously based on the situation appreciation of the, like in the normal military terms. For that, we had if you see the map, can we have the map again, please? Of the East Pakistan. If you see the top left picture, it is the map in blue of East Pakistan. It is completely surrounded by the land, mostly by India, and a bit by Myanmar down in the south. The other map on the right side is the map of East Pakistan again, which Mukti Bahini and General Usmani, when he became the CNC of the forces in exile, had divided the country in 10 sectors. 1 to 9 were the land sectors, and 10 sector was left blank, which was the section from the sea. So now I will come down to the factors in consideration of our attack of the East Pakistan by these naval commandos. Firstly, it was the landlocked country. So India, if you see the Indian portion of Tripura extends like a finger into the territory, which is Agartala, right? And things. So it was much easier to induct people, inducting from the eastern side for places like Chittagong, which Commodore Chaudhuri led. The other three sectors, which was other three places where it was decided was the Chandpur and it was Chandpur, Narayanganj, and Khulna Mongla Chalna area. Now the in charge for the Chandpur was again one of the 8 submariners called Baidul Alam. For Narayanganj, it was Hasanullah, and for Khulna Chalna Mongla area, it was Rahmatullah. Rahmatullah and Commodore Chaudhuri had 60 boys each, while the other two had 20 boys each in the first wave. The other factors which were there was to consider was that the air route to the East Pakistan was completely denied to the Pakistanis after the hijacking of the Indian airline aircraft from Srinagar to Lahore in January of 1971. So the air route available to Pakistan was only through Sri Lanka. The terrain itself was completely riverine, so it had to base on the riverine traffic to supply the logistics and transport the personnel, troops, ammunition, anything you call, through the lighter aircrafts. There were draft restrictions, the deepest ports being Chittagong and Chalna Mongla area in the Pusla River on the western side. So these areas were had to be tackled if you could damage the riverine traffic and the ports could create havoc by these naval commandos. The sea route, which was open to the enemy at that time, or the adversary at that time, would be restricted tremendously, which will help the war efforts. The war was looming large, war efforts at a later date. And it will help Mukti Bahini a lot too. Now, this was decided that 1 minute. It was decided by the hierarchy that the attack has to take place in East Pakistan by the naval commandos in somewhere in mid-August 71. And therefore, these people had to move by first week of April or end July, completely worked up, fully supplied for everything from Agartala. So the Commodore Chaudhuri's gang and the Baidul Alam, who was Narayanganj, and Hasanullah for Chandpur, they were also infiltrated through Agartala. While as for the Chalna Mongla Khulna area, it was Rahmatullah who was inducted to Kalyani camp, Agartala, and down to Sundarbans in the boats. So that's how it was planned. It had to be worked. The whole attack, as Commodore Chaudhuri told you, was based on 2 songs. I think we've got a little specimen of those songs. If you can play them, please. So it'll be interesting for the audience to hear those. The warning song and the... Have you got them handy?
So just a second, you're playing it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so while they were getting... Yeah. AW still gives you goose pimples?
Good, good.
And the other one, the warning song? Yeah. Thank you very much.
Very, very good. The men and women can separately sing for us.
Warning and discussion. You know it better. Right. So when they were,
Excellent.
Excellent. I will not talk about the operations itself because Commander Chaudhary has already talked about it. I will just move on to the aftermath of the attack. Can we have a little picture of the damage of the ships in Chittagong Harbor, please? I must say the maximum damage had taken place in Chittagong, which was led by the famous Commodore sitting here. Yeah, this is a couple of slides there. The two ships which sank in Chittagong Harbor. There are the paper cuttings alongside on the right side, which the international papers and the local papers, they all said that how the Mukti Bahini guerrillas attacked those. And they were taken completely by surprise with that attack. They had no inkling that this kind of attack was coming. It was a bolt in the blue for the Pakistanis. With the result, the tactical advantage and the operational advantages which you got out of this were that towards the end of July, the Mukti Bahini land forces, which were fighting against the Pakistanis, were really pushed into the Indian territory. The morale was pretty low. It was because the Pakistanis, right from I think May onwards, started inducting more troops to East Pakistan. They had about a division and a half of troops in East Pakistan at that time. That increased to about 2.5 divisions. So one extra division came in within about a month to 2 months in there. Some came by air, some came by ship. And these helped in pushing the Mukti Bahini land forces offensive right back to the border area. Now, that was the first aspect. Second was the moment this happened, the Pakistanis realized that the vigilance effort in the ports has to increase. It has to increase tremendously to at least deduct the some of the subsequent attacks by the naval commandos. So almost a division of strength was pulled out, as it said, from the border areas and the areas near the border, the towns near the border and the cantonments there, back to the harbors and the seaports and to the river and traffic ports, where they could put more vigilance in every moving ship. And there were hundreds of ships of smaller tonnage. One minute, please. I think the comp is giving a problem. Oh, God. Yeah. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you loud and clear.
Right, fine. So, that was a big advantage. And then towards from after the mid-August, towards the end of August, the Mukti Bahini land forces did really make a tremendous progress in their endeavors. The second big advantage was that, with the Chittagong disaster, the interest rates of the marine cargo and the marine traffic went up tremendously. from the Lloyd's insurance of say about 5 shillings a pound, 5 shillings a ton to it went up to £1 a ton, and subsequently the charges of the ship every day, say Chitgaon, increase up to about $10,000, something like that, to that tune. And the crew pay increased a lot because the damages which the naval commandos caused created havoc in the insurance and the mercantile marine world. So that was another advantage, that both that was the economic kind of a blow which you gave to the East Pakistan. And so with these advantages, I think the Mukti Bahini effort really caught momentum, came up. So I will cut short this presentation on the Naval Commando bit. I was told to cover the other two operations called Hot Pants and the Force Alpha. Hot Pants, I will take very, very short time in this. I know we are exceeding the time. So if I have the permission of the faculty there, I'll go ahead.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead. So we are eager to listen to you, sir.
Right. So I'm being brief. I've cut down a whole lot of details of this Naval Commando training and the operation also because shortage of time, which can come up in the question answer if there is time. People can ask me what were questions, and I'll try and answer to whatever I know. The second operation, big operation, simultaneously, which was being planned not simultaneously. It started, the roots of this came in after the August attack and the success thereof. And the hierarchy thought, as I said, that our chief was a dynamic man and he always thought big. So he said, why not sort of do some more kind of a dedicated effort. At that time, Bangladesh government exile was based in Calcutta. They had requested, also they were requesting for the marine crafts for making effort with the deserters of the Pakistan Navy of the Bangladeshi origin, man them and try to tackle the riverine routes. So it was decided that the two crafts, I think if they dedicate and give it to the Mukti Bahini government in exile, we could achieve a lot. For that, the preparation started, I think, in early September or end August. I'm not very sure of it because I was not part of the whole system. At that time, the dissemination of information and sort of plans and other things were limited to 3 people, as I told you: the chief of the naval staff, the DNI, and the pivotal point, the most important link was Captain Samant sitting in Fort William, who had 3 bosses. He used to joke that I have got 3 mother-in-laws to please. One was General Arora, one was our own naval hierarchy, and third was Colonel Mag Osmani, who was the CNC of the Bangladesh forces in exile. So he was a bit of a juggler, and he did pretty well. So it was only known to him at that time. I think Calcutta Port Trust was persuaded to donate 2 crafts. These were the utility craft of the Calcutta Port Trust, which really were authorized and built to operate within the limits of Hooghly River, which is about 140 kilometers up to the Sand Heads. Now, these 2 boats were just a civilian boats. with no armament, no nothing. It didn't have anything, any navigational radar except the magnetic compass, which had also not sunk for a long time because navigation within the Hooghly River was with the boys and with the pilots who were very well experienced. Not even an echo sounder was there. So quickly, another piece of innovation by the Navy, like first one was the limpet mine. Another piece of innovation, which was phenomenal, was the armament for these two crafts. First being the guns. Now the guns was the most important thing for the riverine warfare. We didn't have the naval guns in stock. So where did we go? We went to the Army, VSF, and we found that there were two guns which could be spared by the BSF, I think, from their this territorial army. And these were the land-based guns of the same caliber which we use in the Navy as anti-aircraft gun, called the 4060s. These were called the L60s, which are the land-based version. Now these guns had the challenge of the installation criteria. The installation criteria and the design is a little different of 4060 than L60. So that was the first innovation. Our warship overseeing team, very small team again in Calcutta, based in Calcutta, got down to it and did a tremendous job. Put two guns in each boat, one forward, one in rear, forecastle and quarterdeck. So, and the second innovation was, which is again thinking out of the box, was the mines. We were talking about the big mines, and the big mines, India again didn't have the mines which could be spared. Now, these mines which I'm talking about are the mines of the type which are the anti-shipping mines, which are very heavy, which carry about 20 kgs of explosive or maybe more. And there come in two varieties. One is a floating mine, or the contact mine, which they call also, and the other ones are the influence mines which lay on the bottom. So we had a problem there. Now, Captain Roy, being an aviator and being the first commanding officer of the LSE squadron on board Vikrant when it was commissioned, they were trained in these mines, and the aircraft LSE can lay one influence mine at a time. So his brain ticked, and both were in the team, in the hierarchy, and they were brilliant people. The people who could make use of the opportunity and the available resources pretty smoothly, pretty well, and pretty effectively. So it was again ode to these senior officers. So these mines were thought of, and they said, why can't we lay these mines by these boats? So sure enough, he said, we're going to lay it. A lot of risk in the terms of stability factor of a ship which goes into the deeper waters, because they're not made to carry this kind of a load of two guns and the mines. So mine rails were put in both the boats. Both the boats by in September they were almost ready. At that time, the commanding officers were appointed. The commanding officer of the first commanding officer to arrive on scene was Lieutenant Mittar, a hydrographer by profession, very capable man, and he was selected again. And unfortunately, he couldn't come out, or whatever it is. And it would have been ideal if he gave this presentation and got into the whole gambit of the operations and how they did it. But maybe the next time he would be available and give you the full picture. So by September, he was appointed as commanding officer. the second commanding officer in form of Lieutenant Chaudhary, and a gunnery specialist, an instructor in gunnery school at that time was selected, and he was put in the ship called Palash, the ship which Mitra commanded was Padma. So Padma and Palash were two ships which were given to the Bangladesh Navy in exile. Now, we had a lot of sailors to spare from the deserters from the Pakistan Navy, which were based in Bakhtiar. I think from Bakhtiar they came and were available with us in Calcutta. And they were well trained. They knew the tricks of the trade. They were from all the branches. So they were positioned. There were about 45 of them at that time. And this crew of the ship was about 20, including one officer. So unfortunately, the officer here would like to emphasize something going out of the subject, that the whole effort of this Mukti Bahini, naval commandos and the shipborne heroes of Bangladesh, we didn't have a single officer in Bangladesh Navy. I mean, the Navy, officer coming out from East Pakistan, deserting from there and joining the Navy. So as far as we are concerned, especially we are a little biased. Also for C2P, which was a Palasi camp, we think that the E-8 submariners are the nucleus of Bangladesh Navy. So since there were no officers, Indian naval officers were again deputed there. So that's how Mittal and Roy Chaudhary came to be the commanding officers of these boats. The crew of them, both of them, was completely Bangladeshi crews, trained, and some untrained naval commandos were put in there. The ships started their workup, the trials and workup, which any seafaring gentleman would know that ship, once it's ready, it needs trials and it needs workup before it is operationally ready. So by say October, mid-October, end October, they were ready, and they were based at Haldia, which was called as Camp C2H. C stands for camp, like in Plassey. 2 stands for the service, and H is Haldia, P was Plassey. So, we had 2 camps now of the Navy, C2H and C2P. Now, C2H were now heating up, and, they had their ammunitions put in, they had the gun trials, they had their mine rails put in, they had the mines stored on board. And by about, I think, early November, Navy started thinking how to best utilize them and make another big dent on the effort of Bangladesh liberation by denying the sea route again. Making the sea route difficult. So these 2 ships. Oh my God, this battery is dying down. All right, I'll just finish this in case I get cut off. I'll come back again in 2 minutes. Now, it was decided that they will go to Pusar River, which is Challa Kulla Mongla area stretch, similar channel like Hooghly River. Go up there and lay the mines in the entrance to the channel where all the ships pass through. So they laid the mines on the 10th of November. And it straight away showed the dividends. By 11th, the ship sank, and by 14th, a couple of ships sank and damaged. 14th, the Kulla port was declared as shut. So it was a tremendous blow again to the Pakistani forces that they were denied the sea route once again. Chalna had Chittagong had opened up a bit after clearing the anchorage and other things after the 15th August attack. But Challa Mongla Kulla area was completely shut down. So there was a tremendous kind of a success there. I'm not going into the details because I think there is no time. I'll quickly shift over to the Force Alpha. Now, as you see, these two attacks on the East Pakistan were way before the war was declared. 15th August 71 was about 4 months before 3rd of December when the war was declared. This particular effort by the gunboats and mining the Pusar River was in November, another month, almost a month before. So these were much before. So these two operations were really for the Indian Navy also. These were the two operations with a great success, and with that, the Navy cut its teeth. The Indian Navy cut its teeth with those two operations. Till then, it has not seen the war in the real sense. If we see in 64, 62 and 65 operations, the Navy had a very limited role. And with this, the confidence of the Navy went up, the morale of the Navy itself went up, and they, even though a lot of people didn't know that how it happened, because it was all under wraps, and that's how the secrecy maintained. That's how East Pakistan didn't know when they were hit and how they were hit till they were hit. So it was a great success. Now, after the declaration war on 3rd of December, the Indian Armed Forces, the Army was doing very well. And it was a support operation in aid of the Army. The East Pakistani Armed Forces had created certain strongholds around Dhaka, Jessore being one of them. Now I'm limiting myself to the particular areas because I just want to talk about the Force Alpha and sort of quickly finish it. So Force Alpha, by 6th or 7th of December, the Jessore area was giving a lot of resistance to the Indian effort of penetrating from there and marching towards Dhaka. So in that the General Jacob thought that it would be nice if our gunboats could go and play up a little merry hell and do some disruptive kind of activity in Pusar River. So this will lower the morale of the armed forces and the general sympathizers of the Pakistan at that time. So that's how the whole Force Alpha was conceived. It consisted of another ship was added to these Padma and Palash called INS Panwal. That was a naval ship, proper naval ship, commanded by JP and Arona. Now, in the picture in the screen, you would see on the left, extreme left, is the Lieutenant Commander Arona, who's being decorated by the President Mahavir Chakra. He was commanding officer of Panwal. Commanding officer of Palash was Lieutenant Commander Roy Chaudhary on the extreme right, again during the administration, the photograph. And the one in the middle is Lieutenant Mittar, again in administration at that time. At that time, there was no facility to take the photographs. Photographing was taboo, as Commodore Roy Chaudhary brought out earlier, that we didn't have the gadgets which could fit in the arm and in your palm and do everything. So we had to have a dedicated gadget called camera to take that. And since photographs being taboo at that time, we don't have any photographs of C2P and other activities. So we can't, and that was for the security reasons. So that's why we can't have any display anything in these presentations. So now coming back to the Force Alpha. Force Alpha assembled at, I was available to, unfortunately, Lieutenant Das died in one of the earlier recce's of launching points and others in Tripura, and with one of the Mukti Bahini Vijayas in September in a road accident. So we lost him pretty early during the campaign. So Lieutenant Das was not available there. So it was Lieutenant Martis in the camp and as a specialist officer and me, and there was another officer got in October because Lieutenant Martis was finding it difficult to run the camp. B.S. Thakur, who later became a diving specialist. So Lieutenant Sub-Lieutenant Thakur and Commander Martis were pulled out late in November for the Eastern Fleet for the impending landing operation Cox's Bazar to do the beach clearance with the divers. So certain instructor staff of ours and Lieutenant Martis went on board the ships of Eastern Command for this landing operation, and they had boarded there. So they had left the camp by about end November. I came back in the scene in about late November, so attached with Captain Samant, and camp had no activity at that time. It was being wound up because all the Mukti Bahini commandos which were trained were sent to the sector commanders to use them for attacking the targets of opportunity. Here I'd like to clarify again about the commando attack of 15-16th November, that 15-16th August attack was the only coordinated attack. The rest of the attacks were all targets of opportunity and as decided by the sector or sub-sector commander, who had the naval commandos at his disposal and the Olympic mines at his disposal, supplied by us. So now coming back here, that me and Chaman Singh was available. Chaman Singh had also come back from his foray in East Pakistan, with the Mukti Bahini had gone, and he was available. So Captain Samant took us, both of us, to Hassanabad, where these three boats were docked at that time, and fueling and ammunitioning done for this Force Alpha. And there in the journey from Fort William to Hassanabad by road, he explained us all things. And as I said, that it's all no need to know basis. So at that time, he told what the whole thing about and what this campaign, what this particular operation would be about. So by Hassanabad we came, and then we, I think we cast off from there in 6th of November, I think we things. Yeah, I think about 6th of December. And by 8th, we were there. By 8th, we had to, whatever briefing Captain Samant had to do was done. He was based on the, he kind of embarked on board INS Panwal, being the naval ship, he being the senior naval officer. He embarked there. He sent two of us divers, one Chaman Singh to Padma and me to Palash with our diving gear. The other naval commandos trained by us, 4 or 5, were taken around by with us to these two ships. The support staff of the Padma Palash, 2 officers, Lieutenant Nathu and Lieutenant Commander Raizada, also boarded the ships. Raizada, Palash, and Nathu and Bandyopadhyay in Padma. So these ships went and sailed. We sailed through, didn't go through the normal route of going to Sandheads and coming through Pusar River up. We cut across by the old route of the khals. These khals are the tidal waterways in the Sundarbans. So for that, we had to take the guides who knew these khals pretty well. So in these khals, again, I'm going to cut it very short. we went to the Gharani Khal. Gharani Khal is the always on the mouth of Pusa River near Akram Point. So we reached the Akram Point and Gharani Khal in say, I think about 8th or 9th of 8th, and 8th night, Captain Samant, because there were no radar in the boats except Panvel. So Panvel picked up 2 radars, which were being which were going out of harbor, all darkened, so one couldn't see them. The radar picked up, and these turned out to be 2 ships called Anwar Baksh and Bakir, which were going and leaving harbor. We had limited speed, we had limited fuel, so Captain Samant decided not to pursue these ships, and warned the Eastern Fleet that these 2 ships are leaving, and he suspects there's some escapees are there, people escaping there. So they're to be intercepted. So they were eventually intercepted and on both the boats by the Eastern Fleet. However, our main aim was to go to Chalna, where the main deeper anchorage was there, Mongla and Chalna. There we found that Mukti Bahini had already, land forces had already sort of occupied a lot of places, and the shore guns were sort of neutralized, and they were up on the towards Khulna side. They had chased them there. Now, we saw in Khulna there were a lot of ships which were on fire on the trots, and they were tied up in the anchorage. So we boarded a couple of ships to find out there's some maps, some plans, or something we could locate, or something important for our operation. But even though me and Chaman Singh boarded these ships, 3-4 of them, we could not find anything. Thereafter, we proceeded towards Khulna. There we had a very unfortunate incident. Unlike, when we reached near Khulna, it was the Razakars and some of the paramilitary forces of the Pakistani army started firing on these boats, and we were tackling them. In the meantime, some of the aircrafts appeared on the scene. 3 aircrafts, Nats. Within minutes, they were on our tail, and we recognized them as the Indian Air Force planes, but somehow they missed it, in spite of our warning signals on the ships. And they destroyed Padma. They destroyed Palash, in which we were there. We came under very heavy air attack rockets and strafing. They somehow Panvel missed, and it could go and do certain this thing, and they picked up the survivors like me, Raizada, Roy Chaudhary, and Chaman Singh, Natu, and Bandhopadhyay. Bandhopadhyay, Natu, and Mittal was taken as prisoner of wars because they had swum to the other side of the thing near the Khulna shipyard, where Razakars got them, and army came and took them as prisoner of wars, while we were picked up, Raizada and me were picked up by the INS Panvel. And a lot of gun action there by Panvel, firing a lot of installations and military installations, and Khulna shipyard, and other installations, other targets of opportunity in Khulna. And we came back with the injured back to Hasnabad by 10th, where they were lifted and sent to military hospital there. So I've been very brief in these 2 operations. They can be discussed, they're operations by themselves, they can be discussed in things. The 3 operations which are undertaken under the command of Captain Samant, later Captain Samant, Commander Samant that time, directly under Navy hierarchy, naval hierarchy, from Chief Naval Staff to GNI to Samant, and the working level, the level of action. So that's how it is. So I'll close my presentation here. Any questions, I'd be glad to answer. Or if there's shortage of time, we'll skip and let's hear other speakers, please. I'm sorry if I've taken more time than I was signed. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, sir. It was indeed a very, very detailed and a very explicit kind of presentation, and the statement which went with it. We are indeed thankful to you for such a sharing your experiences with us, and we were indeed very, very enlightened. We now move on. We have Mr.
Unfortunately, I forgot to show the slide of the awards and this thing. They were the Bangladesh naval commanders and the people who took participated in this were very highly decorated. It's in the list here. Anybody can have this look at this list. On the naval side, we got 3 MVCs, 6 VrCs, and about 14, 15 naval sailor medals there. So pretty highly decorated, a bunch of people there. Thank you very much. Sorry I interrupted you.
Thank you.